Greetings all! Today we will be examining the relatively rare poison water-type Pokemon Mareanie and its rare evolution Toxapex, the two collectively known as the Brutal Star Pokémon. With an appearance in any life stage that is sure to indicate their toxic natures with few words needed, the members of the Mareanie family are poisonous beasts that can more than make use of their toxic bodies to make a meal out of anything that gets too close to them.
Mareanie have a purple stalk for a torso, with fleshy frills along the bottom and center, their face and the top of their head having the same color, with the top of their head having a purple fringe surrounding a single large, yellow poisonous barb, while the face has a large mouth with 3 sharp teeth, 2 upper canines and a sharp tooth in the center of the lower jaw, as well as blue eyes with yellow sclera. The bodies are surrounded by a series of 10 blue tentacles with 3 blue purple-tipped poisonous barbs on each limb, which reach down to the bottom of their bodies, except for the one short tentacle that sits above their face. Their evolved form, Toxapex, have a much smaller main body, their torso having shrunken and wasted away, leaving little more than their shrunken head and central foot intact. Their arms have grown massively in size, now sporting 12 of them, with 2 blue barbs on the outside of each arm and 2 pink barbs on the inside, additionally having orange spines at the top of them that form a crown around the center of their top, as well as 2 flat-bottomed outward-facing barbs at the bottom of each foot that aid in gripping the ground below them for better locomotion.
Mareanie and Toxapex are related to carnivorous starfish and share a visual resemblance to the crown of thorn starfish, giving them a threatening vibe that they enjoy taking full advantage of in the wild.
These creatures cannot move very quickly as a result of their anatomy, with Mareanie in particular only being supported by a single main stalk where the main organs are stored, including their brain, while also serving as a standing post for their eyes and other bodily ports. When Mareanie evolve, their form changes dramatically and they go from a primarily passive hunting style to a partially defensive style that gives them an edge in survival against the attacks of others. Interestingly enough though, while they usually resort to passive predation at a young age, there is one prey item that these creatures will exert considerable energy in order to track down and attack: non-Galarian Corsola, though not specifically Corsola themselves. They actually target the coral that symbiotically grows with them on the tops of their bodies. It seems that this coral possesses a wide variety of nutrients that are critical for the survival of Mareanie and Toxapex and are thus incredibly important meals to them, so much so that it will actively exert more energy in order to get a Corsola and attack it than any other type of prey item. Ordinarily, there are not many predators that will attack Corsola as a result of their rocky bodies, but these creatures are still able to inject their toxins into the coral that covers them and poison them that way, all the while taking advantage of their merciless ability if possible, which ensures critical hits for all of their attacks against a poisoned opponent, and munching on the coral, ripping it off of their prey piece by piece and leaving the Corsola to die afterwards. This brutal predation has made Corsola relatively rare than they should be in places like the Alola region, and Mareanie are often attacked because of this. But in truth, the beast cannot be blamed given the biological need for the coral to survive. Even so, these beasts are hated by craftsmen that like to use discarded Corsola branches in their work for this, and as a whole, are dangerous creatures that should be handled carefully, as the toxins can do just as much damage to their prey to humans, and thus can be hardy contenders in battle. Aside from their signature merciless ability, these creatures are also able to use their natural anatomy to restart their nervous system in such a way as to keep them from being readily paralyzed, potentially granting them access to Limber as a base ability, while those that are able to more readily regenerate damaged body parts over time can also have Regenerator as a hidden ability. In looking at their stats in the case of Toxapex, it is quite clear that these creatures were built for defense and defense only, as while most of their base stats are below average for fully evolved poison and water-type Pokemon, their defensive stats are incredible, with both their base defense and special defense stats being above average for fully evolved Pokemon of both of their types. In turn, they also possess the highest base special defense stat out of all water-type Pokemon, and the highest base defense and special defense stats out of all poison-type Pokemon, and are thus incredibly hard nuts to crack for those unable to find a way to penetrate their otherwise monstrous defenses. In the wild, Mareanie use their 10 arms to slowly crawl along the ocean floor among warm coastal waters, and do not expend much energy in the process, which helps them out a great deal as their limited mobility means that they are not very good as active predators. Instead, they use imitation to their advantage, waving their arms around like a sea anemone in order to attract fish and other swimming life forms close to them. Once they are within range, they will grab the prey with their arms and smash them into the spines on the top of the main body stalk, which contain a potent toxin that will first cause numbness and then a horrible itching sensation before paralyzing the prey item within seconds, at which point the creatures can use their arms to finish them off, ripping them apart into pieces and feeding them into their mouths for consumption. The degree of mimicry usually works for smaller prey items quite well, but because they only have so much poison to spare, these organisms will be very picky about their targets and will generally remain in a state of mimicry for as long as possible when larger creatures are around, as they are vulnerable to direct attack and cannot withstand much in the way of punishment before receiving critical damage. Though their regenerative abilities are strong enough that they can at least regrow missing limbs after a good night's sleep as long as their head is intact.
Because Mareanie greatly enjoy feeding on Corsola, they are often attacked by other Pokemon for their brutal nature. In response to this, evolution has sacrificed a slight amount of their base speed stat and central anatomy in exchange for incredibly high defensive powers, though the overall stamina remains the same.
As their forms change in structure, the limbs become thick, muscular bundles of tissue, lined with spines at the end, converted into opposable digits, allowing these creatures to grip the ground beneath them when needed to take a defensive position. Though they might not have any solid bone or similar hard tissue, the sheer density of soft tissue in these limbs makes them stronger than iron and grants these beasts incredibly high defensive stats, while simultaneously creating a dome that comfortably protects the creatures from strong ocean currents so they are not easily swept away, and insulates their bodies and traps heat in the colder waters of the Galar region. In turn, they gain access to the signature technique, the Baneful Bunker technique, which is essentially a modified protect technique that will poison any opponent that dares to come into direct contact with them while the move is active.
In this form, Toxapex will slowly roam the ocean floor in search of potential prey items, dragging their frames around on the 12 massive arms that now serve as their only form of locomotion.
Instead of playing a mimicry game like Mareanie, as they cannot lift their arms completely off the ground without risking a fall onto the delicate structure that now serves as their main body, these beasts will instead prey on creatures that are not paying attention, staying hidden within their arms like a shield until they sense a prey item approaching. When this happens, they will lash out with their arms and make short work of the prey, firing off toxic spines courtesy of a spike cannon attack to stun them before rushing to the downed prey and slamming the poisonous claws on their limbs forcefully into them, pinning them to the seafloor and waiting for their poison to quickly kill the prey so they can rip it apart into pieces and feed it to their tiny mouths. This tactic usually works out well for them, though it is noted that these creatures will continue to walk around as they are feasting in order to search for a new hiding place to ambush prey from, oftentimes leaving a trail of Corsola bits in their wake that can potentially give away the position. The poison is far from safe, and is in fact lethal to humans, for even something as large as a Wailord that gets even slightly pricked will suffer intense pain for 3 whole days and nights, and even after the worst is over, it can cause permanent nerve damage and lead to paralysis and a host of other permanent health conditions. As such, it is highly advised that trainers stay far away from these monsters in the wild, as while they may never try and attack creatures that they know they cannot possibly handle without risking injury, they will violently swing out at anything that gets near them and won't think twice about using their arms to smash some sense into anyone that foolishly tries to get too close to them.
I get that the circle of life means that everything must find a way to survive and thrive, but these creepy beasts are still a bit horrifying to watch in action. Sure, it might be a slow bit of action in most cases, but once they get their arms around something, there's little doubt that they'll likely leave their prey poisoned and unable to properly defend themselves, making for an easy meal. At the very least, I can work with Mareanie, as they can be fun to watch as they imitate other creatures to lure prey in close to them, but with Toxapex, it is a quick, violent end that really shouldn't be seen by young children. It doesn't help that their signature merciless ability almost always results in massive damage against anything they manage to poison, helping to make up for the otherwise weak offensive powers. If anything could be said for certain, is that these monsters are brutally efficient in the way they assault others, hence their species title, and are never to be underestimated when it comes to stalling out others and letting their toxic and aquatic powers slowly whittle away at their opponents while they keep themselves protected and healthy over the course of a long fight.
While they might not be built to be able to do much in the way of direct damage, the members of the Mareanie family are nonetheless potent beasts that can make life extremely difficult for those that can't avoid getting poisoned by them. As such, it is important to bring plenty of healing items with you when confronting these creatures, as they won't hesitate to take every opportunity they can to intoxicate everything that gets in their way.
Just do yourself a favor and make sure that you treat them with respect and never underestimate what their spiny forms can accomplish. Even if they can't attack directly, getting on the wrong end of their baneful bunker technique can more than put a timer on you and your Pokemon and leave you at the mercy of these truly merciless spiny monstrosities.
Thank you all for watching this video. It is always a pleasure to help teach others about the world of Pokemon and the many facets of it that exist in both the world we call home and the world they call home. If you'd like, please leave a comment and subscribe and ring the bell to this channel to get regular updates on content and anything else that might be going on. You can find me and my written work on DeviantArt under the name Utitus and be informed of information and content uploads on my Twitter page and my Patreon page. Donations are always welcome. Always remember, the world of Pokemon is a vast and varied place, and there's no telling what secrets might be hiding just around the corner. So keep watch, stay vigilant, and always prepare for the unexpected. Until next time, have a wonderful rest of the day.